Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. It's Father's Day in Australia. I hate Father's Day. I've always hated Father's Day. I was never close to my dad. He died in 2017 in January, and it was strange. It was sadder because that he was dead, that there was sort of no more hope, because when you aren't close to someone or a relative, you always sort of feel like you can change that. And I can't. It's over. Death has a finality that you cannot understand until you've experienced it. We think we know. We think we know that, we don't, tomorrow isn't promised, it's the end, all that. But until you feel that cold, solid, just wall of finality, it's you can't explain it to someone if you haven't lost someone, especially someone you've had unresolved issues with. And like every year I post some miserable comments on Facebook or videos or something. And this year I can't remember what I've said past years, but I'm a creative person, so I've made some dramatic posts and videos and images, and some people think it's just attention seeking, but it's really just expressing yourself, feeling things, wanting to actually express that. And this year I normally share "Oh Father," because that song is always going to is always going to feel like my relationship with my father, but then at the same time other people are involved in that, so I felt like this year I have to say, I don't know if I've said it before, but my dad wasn't abusive to me or anything, but he was an alcoholic, and he was anesthetized to some level. I don't feel like he was ever really present. I mean, clearly he wasn't always drunk, he wasn't some monster or something, but he wasn't present enough to stop other people from being abusive towards me. So that feels like he didn't, that has felt like, or it will always feel like, he didn't care enough about me, or didn't love me enough to do that. It's hard to explain. I was listening to Oh Father, and I was writing sort of my Facebook post, and I had that realization that it's not that I think he didn't love me. I know he loved me. It's that feeling that I felt like he didn't, because of his actions. His actions didn't. It's hard to explain, but I just felt that, and I just ended up crying so much, and I haven't cried for a while. It's been a couple of years, and I sort of wanted to make this video for therapy. My Facebook and my YouTube are my therapy, basically, and I feel like no one listens to me, so I'm not really bothering anyone anyway. But it just was really emotional, because I just had that kind of realization that I feel that way. That's how I feel. I feel that he didn't love me because of not what he did, but because other people did things and he wasn't there. Same with my mother, but it was different. It was more that they were like emotionally distant. They were too busy with other things. I was the 8th child. By the time they got to me, they were kind of relaxed in some ways to parenting, and I think fairly dysfunctional as a family, and there are a lot of issues there, and I was not an easy child. I was sick, and that put pressure on the family in different ways, and I had resentment from other family members because of that, which I didn't understand as a child, and that it has been articulated to me now as an adult. And I'm like, well, I felt hated. I felt like I wasn't part of the family. I felt like I wasn't wanted. And I get where I felt that now, through various things. I was always different from everyone else in the family. I was that weird kid that no one understood. The weird, artistic, gay, whatever, intellectual person. I know that sounds like I think I'm whatever, but the reality was I was thinking about things other people weren't thinking about, and talking about things other people didn't want to talk about, and expressing things people didn't normally express, in my family anyway. And I was always the black sheep and then the pink sheep. And it's just really, I don't know, like, I haven't talked about this to any people. Like, when my dad died, I was alone. I was back in Melbourne. I had been home at Christmas. I had seen him. He had actually died on Christmas. Or was it Easter? No, it was Christmas. Yeah, it was Christmas. I was home with my mum, and she was actually suggesting I should go visit him, and I wasn't sure if I was going to. And then we got the... They thought he died. Basically, that there was no pulse, he was dead. And they started to prepare the body for us to visit, and then he came back to life and was like, what are you doing? And then everyone ended up just visiting him all at the same time. I remember going in as some of my relatives went out, because I got there a little later. I took a little bit of time to get there, and also I had to walk there from my mum's house, which wasn't that far, but it was obviously longer than driving. And but most of the family was there all at the same time, and I have a photo from that, and everyone was taking photos with him, and it was all very strange. I mean, but no one really talked about it. And then I saw him once more. It was in a home, he was asleep, and it looked like he was dead. It was a weird sight. I left, but then my sister showed up, and we both went in, and he was awake, because he always seemed to wake up for her and talk to her, and that other people sort of felt like he wasn't with it, he wasn't there, there's no point talking to him or visiting, some people sort of felt. And I don't think they really believed my sister that she was talking to him and visiting him and that. But when she came, he woke up, he was already awake, and we talked for a good 45 minutes or so just about stuff. He wasn't totally there, but he was, I mean. And then came back to Melbourne, and I found out a few weeks later he died. I was told there was no funeral, that he was being cremated privately, and his ashes were being taken to a farm which belonged to other people who were allowing us to put the ashes on the farm, but there wasn't going to be like a reception, there wasn't going to be like anyone there. It was just my sister was taking them there, and that was it. So I didn't make any plans. I didn't go, there was no point going to Tasmania where my family was. And then one of my other relatives was messaging me about that time and that date, about that, and I didn't understand why they were messaging me. Like, I don't need to know when the ashes are being put there, it's just my sister's doing it. And then I found out later that they had a like reception, like where they all went together, a bunch of the family, and spread the ashes as a group, which I would have wanted to go to. And they all went through, they'd already gone through his house when they put him in the home, in I think November before the Christmas when I went over. I went there, the house was still empty, and I took a video, walked around, got harassed by neighbours who seemed to think I was trying to vandalise the house, even though I showed them my ID and said I'm his son. I just wanted to see the house again before I left. They didn't believe I was old enough to be his son. This guy kept coming out, and I managed to get like about a minute and a half of video just walking around the house, and looked around the yard of it, and then I just left. And I didn't really get to talk to anyone about it. I didn't really get to deal with it. I didn't have that moment of where you see other people and you're mourn together. Funerals are very important. I think you need to have funerals. You need to have that opportunity to speak to other people who had a different experience of that person they were a different person in their life. I know a friend's mother died and my mum was there when he was there, and he was saying how much it helped to have other people talking to him about her and to realise who they were to other people and how they affected other people and that. And it's a very important thing. The reception and the funeral is for the living. It's not for the dead person. They're gone. It's for everyone else to try and deal with it. And we didn't really have that. And my mother did the same thing, but I told my mother, we need something. We have to have something because we just can't do what we did with Dad. And she had... I'm not even going to talk about Mum. But I didn't really talk to anyone about it. And I still haven't really talked to anyone. I've mentioned it to a few people. People know my father died. But I've never sat down with a single person and talked about this. I didn't really talk to anyone in my family because I wasn't with them. And when I did see them next, like, no one wants to talk about it. And it's like you can't put your trauma on them because they've got their own grief. So you need someone outside to talk about. And I didn't have anyone outside to talk about because no one wants to talk about anything like that. No one wants to... people just want to go on with their happy life until it happens to them, and then they want to talk about it with someone. So it was just very strange. And now I'm sort of here, and each year Father's Day comes up and his birthday comes up, and I get sad, and I have just unresolved issues. I never really got to speak to him. I wanted to speak to him. He was very sick before I found out he was sick, so I didn't get to talk to him. And then when I did see him, I couldn't bring up my issues with him because that would have been selfish, because he wasn't well enough to talk about them and to take responsibility for things that happened. He, like I said, he wasn't really there, and people were horrible to me, and people did things, and I didn't really feel like there was anyone protecting me or taking care of me in that sense. And I don't think he knew how to handle me or knew who I was. There were a couple of times things happened and he was like happy to just let me do my own thing and that, and it seemed to be his way. Some difficult children, some gay children, some artistic, creative children, they have parents that support them, or they have parents who try to sort of contain them and make them conform, and that. My dad was very much just let him be. And that was good in some ways, but it was also kind of absent in a way. So, and like I said, I realised that that absence felt like a lack of caring or a lack of love or something. And I thought I'd be emotional when I was talking about this, but I'm not. I was emotional an hour or so ago. And I thought, I need to make a video. I just need to make a video and talk. And even if I don't post it, it's like sometimes therapy, you feel like you're talking to yourself anyway, because the people, the therapist or whatever is always just sort of nodding and listening, and they often don't add a whole lot, and I don't find it that helpful, because I did have therapy in the past for a few things, but I haven't had a therapist, haven't seen anyone in years, and I've had a lot of stuff happen in the last 5 years. A lot of stuff every year, pretty much every 6 months or every year, something's gone terribly wrong. And it has been too much, and I've been dealing with it by myself, and there is no one else because nobody cares. When it all comes down to it, people only care about themselves and the loved ones that take care of them, unless you're paying them. And really, like therapy, helplines, stuff like that, they really don't count. I know some people find them helpful, but if the person really doesn't care and they're really not listening, if you really don't matter to them, for me, it doesn't really mean anything. So there's no point talking to people. So, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it. I don't know if I'll post this or if anyone will even watch it or if it'll mean anything to anyone. But I would suggest other people talk about their grief, talk about their problems, and be honest. There shouldn't be any fear in honesty. I don't know why people are so afraid to talk about negative things and dark things, because it just makes them puts light on them, makes them all lesser, less of burden on the person, and less general. I don't know what people are so worried about, but I don't really have anything else to say. I just felt like I had to mark this Father's Day, and I had to say something about my dad, but I don't really know how I'm going to feel. It's his birthday on the 26th of September in a few weeks, so I don't know. But I feel like I had a bit of an epiphany this week, because I've resented him for years because I feel like he didn't take care of me, because he and other people, and it just, and how that feels. It just I sort of articulated how that feels to myself out loud, and it just sort of kind of changed how things felt. But I'm going to go. I don't know if I'm going to post this. If I do, feel free to share and like or comment if it means anything to you. I don't know. I have looked for sort of videos of people talking about grief or family members and stuff like that dying or whatever. It's sort of helpful to see other people's stories. So I don't know if anyone will see this, but I don't know. I'm just going to go. Thanks. Bye.